97.9 The Hill WCHL studios on East Franklin Street, from the independent voice of UNC sports, covering everything from Amos Lawrence to Zach Brown. This is Inside Carolina Live. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Inside Carolina Live. What is up, everybody? And see, now that AJ is on assignment today, Da'Norris and I can actually listen to some real grown folk music and not have to worry about explaining everything to the young head. But
Right.
We got a big show lined up for y'all today. North Carolina will be kicking off at noon in Chestnut Hill. So go ahead and call your mama, tell her favorite pregame show is on, and make sure you tell all your friends. Jump in here with us. We are on 97.9 locally. That's terrestrial radio. You can listen to us online at chapelboro.com, or you can watch us on the Inside Carolina YouTube stream. And if you're joining us on the YouTube channel, make sure that you jump in the comment section, ask us questions, interact with us. Da'Norris and I will take care of you today, I promise, and we're going to have some fun. And as we get ready for today's show, AJ reminded me that he was the only one that predicted that Jacoby Criswell would be the starting quarterback this year. And I do remember we clowned him mercilessly, rightfully so.
We did.
Rightfully so. But it was, how often is anybody ever right about being a third string quarterback being your starter?
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of open up today's show and talk a little bit about how Jacoby Criswell has gotten this team to bowl eligibility, Da'Norris. I mean, I think that I remember the folks on Inside Carolina remember that there was a point only about 4 or 5 weeks ago where this season looked like it was absolutely just garbage.
Oh, my God.
And
well, first off, Jacoby came in. Only reason we didn't think Jacoby would be the starting quarterback because he came in after spring ball.
He was late.
Right. He had to learn Coach Lindsey's new offense because Jacoby wasn't here when Coach Lindsey came in.
Yeah.
So it was different. I went with Connor because I knew Connor had been there 3 years. He learned behind Drake for 2 years. He was in Coach Lindsey's offense longer than any other quarterback. So I gave him the edge over Max Johnson and Jacoby. But hey, man, I'm glad to see what Jacoby has come through from the season. That's why you always play the season out because you never know. I agree with you. That 4-game stretch, we didn't know what was going to happen. I thought. I got tired of arguing with people because I got tired of talking about my heels. But I'm glad we're both eligible now, and we're pushing. We got us a nice winning streak going. Just trying to keep it going, man, for sure.
So let's kind of dive into that a little bit. I mean, all of a sudden you've got a team who was staring hopelessly into the abyss while standing on the edge of a cliff just a few weeks back. Now they've seemingly somewhat righted the ship. Like you said, they've put a little bit of a winning streak together after a 4-game losing streak. Right. Guys seem to be contributing in different spots. You seem to see some different names show up every week, kind of to one of your old adages, holding the rope, right? You got
Absolutely.
Different guys holding the rope right now. When you finally reach a goal like bowl eligibility, which Mac Brown has said was a goal for this team.
Absolutely.
How do you keep focus for what's left? Because right now you've got 2 very winnable games, but they're also losable games. So how do you go into a dreary, and I did check the weather, it's supposed to be in the low 40s, somewhere between 40 and 60% chance of rain today at kickoff in Boston. So it's not going to be a fun environment. This isn't for the faint of heart, and we'll talk a little bit more about the matchup here in a second. But how do you maintain your focus on these last 2 games? I don't think next week would be a problem for focus, but this week feels kind of trappy.
Nah, I wouldn't say it's a trap game. You got to think, man. Even though you're bowl eligible, you still have plenty of things to play for. You want to play for a better bowl game, a chance to, if guys who were this there last year, you plan for opportunity to get seen, plan for opportunity to keep updating your resume because guys want to go on to that next level. So you got to show teams that you're able to finish and you're able to play no matter the conditions, no matter the circumstances. So you still have plenty to play for. The more wins, the better the bowl game. Like I said, you still have something to play for. Boston College is a team that can play spoiler if you let them. So the main objective is, that's why I said it's not a trap game, because you still got something to prove. You still got you still have an opportunity to get better and continue to get better as a team. Then you got former players that you're going to see today. Kamari Morales, he's a guy that was here on the team
and a big contributor.
I was just going to say that a very productive guy. So he's chopping at the bench to get back at his former teammates and whatnot. So he's a guy that's a talker. So I'm pretty sure the guys on defense they're gonna do everything they can not to let him get in the end zone, because he get in the end zone, even if he makes a catch, they're gonna hear it. So I'd rather him make a catch on me than to score a touchdown. I just can't have it. So, but I know that's another thing to play for on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, I don't see it as a trap game, because they probably took it light on James Madison. That's why the outcome, what it was against James Madison. So they learned early in the year that all these games count. There's no let up. Like I used to always say, if they put a helmet on and we keep in score, I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
So I hope the team adopts that same mentality and keep this win streak going.
I think one of the big things that's tough, and you mentioned Kamari Morales, he's tough to keep out of the end zone. I mean, for a long time, until this year, he was North Carolina's all-time leader in touchdowns by a tight end. I mean, he's a good player. Guy just seems to find the end zone. I think the biggest thing I'd be curious about is what are some ways the coaches can talk to a team after you reach last week's goal of bowl eligibility. All right, so you've done okay.
Right.
You got back above 500. You got your 6 wins. How does a coaching staff talk to a team that has not had a ton of success, right? Like you just talked about, it's probably not a trap game. I would also argue that this team can't overlook anybody. You ain't that good.
Absolutely.
Right? So how does the coaching staff talk to a team that has talent? They're on a bit of a roll. You want to keep that momentum going, but you've also got to kind of check that over their shoulder look. You can't have them reading press clippings. You can't have them feeling, to use an old Roy Williams term, you can't have them feeling fat and happy. I mean, they've got to feel like they've got to have the same want to today in Chestnut Hill as they had 3 weeks ago in Charlottesville. Like, how do you maintain that?
You remind them the feeling of what it's like to lose, and you remind them of that feeling of the 4-game skid when Carolina had lost those 4 games. So just show them, re-put it out there to them that we still ain't played our best games. We're not bowl eligible, but we still have a chance to improve. You got if you're a younger guy, you got a chance to get better. Bowl games and extra weeks of bowl practice, that helps the team out, because younger guys get to play, younger guys get the exposure and get the experience to get out there and make an impact. I was a guy who benefited from the extra weeks of practice doing the bowl, so you still have things to play for. And the fact that you're bowl eligible, don't relax, because the better the bowl, the better opportunities you have to be seen. And like I said, guys who want to play at the next level, they still have opportunities to update their resumes, and a better way to update your resume is to go out there and perform in bowl games. So you still have things to play for, and you still have things to improve on as a team and as an individual.
So I think one of the things that folks, if you haven't seen Boston College play this year, it means you probably live in Boston, because nobody cares about college sports up there. But Boston College is very much kind of the same brand every year. They're smash mouth. They usually have a really, really good offensive line. They usually put an O-lineman in the draft every year. Now they've brought in a guy like Bill O'Brien, who is a pro-style coach. He wants to have that traditional drop-back passer. He still wants to use a lot of the pro concepts. I mean, I'm not talking like old, pro set, like, traditional double I formation type stuff, but he's very much a guy that's going to line up across from you and try to beat you with physicality the way that teams usually do in the NFL. And so North Carolina's going up there today to play what's going to be probably their most physical game of the year. They're probably going to be facing a team that, again, there's nothing Boston College puts on film from any of their players that jumps out at you and you're like, oh, man, we've got a key on this guy.
Right.
But they're very steady. They're on a little bit of a losing streak as well, but they've proven that they can beat decent or middling teams, which I think North Carolina is one. So I want to ask you, going into a road environment, there ain't going to be any fans. There's never any fans at Boston College. It's going to be gross. Shout out to Stringer Bell. It's a 40-degree day. It happens to be raining.
Yeah,
how do you get that mind right, man? How do you get these guys to? Because again, you always hear the joke about teams from the South that they don't like conditions. Well, they're gonna get conditions today.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to have that mindset. You got to be able to go in there and play. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter the environment. It doesn't matter the team. You got to be able to go in there and play. And again, man, if you keep your score, you gotta want to win all the time. It's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be a physical team. We got Coach O'Brien, was with the Texans and with the Patriots, so he's worked with some of the best. He's been to the playoffs in the NFL. He's a coach I had the game plan for against a lot of times when I was in Tennessee. So he's a proven guy. He's going to have the team ready to play. Now the record don't show for it, but like you said, they'll beat some formidable teams already this year. So they're going to be ready to play. They're going to be playing spoiler as well. They're not bowl eligible, but they're playing against a team that is. So
UNC's last 2 games are against teams fighting for bowl eligibility.
Exactly. So these teams want to play spoiler. Yeah, you may be bowl eligible, but if we could get a win. If we get a win on you, then that means you get to go to a worse bowl game. So, so teams. That's why I say it can't be a trap game. Teams are still gunning for them. A lot of teams still have things to play for. So, you got to be up for it. I mean, the crowd may not be into it because of the weather and the environment. I know when I went to Boston College back in 2009, the crowd was pretty. It was pretty decent because Boston College still had a pretty decent team, but we still had more Carolina fans up there. But we didn't have to play in no 41-degree weather. We got lucky. We played up there in November, and it was like 70 degrees, so we got lucky that day. But yeah, you got to be able to come out of there with a win. It's not. I keep saying it's not a trap game because it isn't. Everybody still has something to play for late in the season.
Can you find toughness midway through a season? Is it something that you have to have in August, or can they find toughness for a game like today?
You should be able to find toughness for a game, especially. From a senior outlook, you want to these last few times you get to play with your teammates, so you want to go out there and win, have fun, continue to build those memories with the guys one last time, and then again, there's still things out there to get accomplished as a team. I know some guys still want to do a few things and achieve a few goals before the season over with. So each weekend that you're still able to lace them up and play, man, it's an opportunity to update your resume.
I'm thinking about the situation they're going to go into today. You know, Boston College, they want to throw the ball. They're capable of running the ball.
Right.
They're not, and we'll talk a little bit about this with Jason Staples at the bottom of this hour, but they're not necessarily going to, nickel and dime you. They do what they do love. They love crossing patterns. They love a good wheel route. They will absolutely run double wheels if you let them. So there's going to be a lot of linebackers in coverage today, I believe. But
absolutely,
I think it would do good, especially when you consider. And I'm not looking ahead to next week, as we just got done hoping the team would look ahead to next week. But North Carolina is not going to really need to manufacture any motivation for their home finale. But I think today, what you might be able to find from them is some toughness that they can use. If they can come out of this game today with a win, then all of a sudden now you've played in some really stank conditions.
Right.
You've played against a team that wants to just physical you to death.
Right.
And you can carry that into next week, because again, that's one of the things that NC State has shown is that they want to muck it up. So
absolutely.
this is a weird. It's weird that they're just now getting a game with some conditions. It's weird they're finally getting a game with some elements this late in the season. But you and I both know when we looked at the schedule in August, we looked at this game in November in Boston and said,
that's going to be tough.
That could be gross.
Be tough. Absolutely, that's going to be tough. But if they can get through this, if they get through that first mental stage of just playing out there in that weather, I believe they'll be able to weather the storm for sure.
Well, so okay, I'm not gonna use a stereotype of defensive backs, but certain defensive backs, maybe the guys on the outside, aren't really crazy about playing and stuff like this. I know safeties usually are okay with the weather.
Oh yeah.
I know that offensive linemen love this kind of stuff because they're insane. But is there like a break-in period when you go out on the field, like the first 20 or so minutes where you're still in sweats and you're like, all right, feel the rain now, get used to it, get yourself centered, and then you go back and put your gear on?
I was normally good. I didn't cold games like this. I didn't really get cold until probably like the last 5 minutes of the game, or the fourth quarter time winding down. But throughout the game, I didn't mind. I didn't wear no sleeves. I know for sure in Buffalo, the rules on defense, if you was a defensive back, you couldn't wear sleeves in Buffalo, no matter how cold it was. So did I hate that? Yes. But,
hey, but that's culture, bro.
But right. Right. It was culture, and then it was a fine. Like if you wore sleeves, I
didn't know that.
You got fined. Yeah.
Never heard that.
So no, you weren't wearing no sleeves on defense.
I get that with offensive linemen. I can't believe they extended that to everybody in the back end.
It was like, we don't wear no sleeves on defense. I remember my rookie year, it wasn't me, but one of the other rookies, he was putting some sleeves on. And he was like, man, what you doing? And he was like, man, it's cold out there. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, we don't wear no sleeves on defense.
No,
and he was like, bro, I'm wearing sleeves. Like, you know what I'm saying? So he had to pay the fine. He was like, I pay the fine.
Game check's kind of light.
But he paid it. But I was like, nah, I'm keeping all my money. I could deal with the cold for this next 3 hours. But it was pretty cool. I don't really think about the elements like that. Only elements that kind of get to me is if it's downpour rain.
Yeah, driving rain.
Right, but if it's cold weather in November, December doesn't bother me because I expect it. You build your mind up for it because you know that's the time of the year that it's going to be cold, especially if you go up north. So you just fix your mind around it and know. Get ready for what you know to expect, man. You'll be all right. They got enough hand warmers and jackets on the sideline, heated benches. So
that's what I can say. They get to break out the big parka jackets today.
Absolutely. So they got ways to get you through the game. So that's the least thing guys worry about when we out there. Those elements, we just trying to win.
I would anticipate today is going to be, if there's ever been, and we'll talk with Jason Staples here in the bottom of the hour, but if there's ever been a game where it's just, all right, line it up and run at them, I think today might be it. This might be it, because not just because of the style of Boston College, but because of the elements that we just got done talking about.
Absolutely.
I think that, in a game where there's going to be potentially a slippery football, you want to make sure that we're focusing in on what we can control if I'm the coaching staff. And so if you can take slippery footballs and things like that out of the equation, I would expect them to do so. All right, let me lay out the show for you today. Again, call your mama, tell her her favorite pregame show is on. We got Staples in the bottom of this hour. We usually talk X's and O's with him, so be ready for that. We will have the IC takeover in the second hour. Again, I know for all of y'all who are out here missing our favorite middle school science teacher, Evan Rogers, he's actually on the ground in Boston right now. We've got some. We've got a thin staff this week because some of the guys drew the straws to go to Hawaii and cover basketball. Some of them drew the short straws to go to Boston and cover football. But Searcy and I are here for y'all, so we got you squared away today.
Absolutely.
We'll have the IC takeover and take your questions in the second hour, and we will give somebody some Johnny T-shirt $50 goodness right here coming up on Black Friday. So Johnny T-shirt will take care of you. We want you to stick around. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get you right for this game today. Whether you want to watch the CW at noon or not, we're going to have you ready for it, whether you choose to or otherwise. He's Da'Norris Searcy. I'm Joey Powell. AJ is on the ones and twos, making sure that everything works today, and we're glad that you are joining us for part of your pregame ritual. This is Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is George Lynch, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live at 97.9 The Hill.
Do you know someone who's always giving of themselves and never asks for anything in return? This is Mark Pons with Chapel Hill Tire, and we want to celebrate those special people. Through November 29th, nominate a community hero for our 12 Days of Kindness car care giveaway. Visit 12days.chapelhilltire.com to honor your deserving hero with up to $1,000 in free car care. Let's give back to those who give so much and help all our neighbors drive happy. Make your nomination today at 12days.chapelhilltire.com.
I'm Jeremy Salemson with CIMG Residential Mortgage. At CIMG, we are so proud to be your local mortgage experts. At CIMG, we loan our own money, approve loans locally, and stay connected with our customers throughout the process. In short, we humanize the lending experience. Learn more at CIMGINC.com. CIMG, lending on a first-name basis. NMLS number 39460.
Rob Sutter, one of the team leaders at Caldwell Banker, Howard Perry and Walston, was wondering what he'd do next.
I totally stumbled into real estate. So I started a drone business, and I was cold calling realtors to see, hey, you guys want drone photography? And one of the realtors actually said, do you want to join my team? And at that point, I was like, I'll try anything once and see what sticks. I've just been here ever since.
To reach Rob, go to thesutterrealtygroup.com.
Hey, Haley.
Hey, Jack.
Did you know it's the most wonderful time of the year at Olmas Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing?
The store is brimming with sparkly pieces and will bring smiles this holiday season.
Because at Olmas Jewelers, helping people find the perfect gift to make the holidays extra special is what we do best.
With top designers, the best selection of bridal jewelry, and new arrivals, we can always find the perfect piece.
Happy holidays from Olmas Jewelers. Our name means diamonds. Let's engage.
Go visit Jack and Ely at Olmas Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing. Just stop in or visit olmasjewelers.com for more info.
Book the perfect space for your holiday party at the Sheraton Chapel Hill, which has meeting space for small, medium, and large groups, including a varied catering menu. The Sheraton Chapel Hill has 6 meeting rooms from 650 to 19,000 square feet. The indoor-outdoor event deck can accommodate intimate to sizable gatherings with free parking for all guests. Go to SheratonChapelHill.com for more details and to book your ideal party space.
This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. I really stress with the customers that we are looking to be their generator partner for the next 10, 15, 20 years for their ownership of having a generator. We want to make sure they can rely on us that that generator is ready to run and on go when they need it. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Inside Carolina Live on a beautiful Saturday, fall Saturday here in the Triangle. Shout out to anybody who's up at Chestnut Hill listening to us today. We appreciate you making time and getting yourself ready, because I know you're pre-gaming up there, and whatever you do, I hope you're warm, because, again, the forecast does not look fun. If you're looking for an informational forecast, for those of you who care about that kind of information, Tar Heels are favored by 2.5. Line total is set at 51.5. Man, that's just that feels like it's a toss-up. Both of these teams aren't very far apart in most statistical categories. I was telling Da'Norris and AJ off the air, there's one team that that runs the ball less, or there's one team that that runs the ball more than Boston College, and that's North Carolina, but it's only by one attempt. Boston College has attempted one less rushing attempt than the Tar Heels have this season. So both teams are going to be very content to just line up and hand it off to the guy behind them and see what happens. But that will probably be different since Castellanos is no longer Boston College's quarterback. Right. If you have not heard, Bill O'Brien benched him. Went to a more pass-friendly quarterback, and it's led to a little bit of upheaval, but I think it's what Boston College wanted for Bill O'Brien's style. Anyway, let's get into what we like to call the Coach Speak segment. We are going to try to do this with Evan. We'll see if we can manage without him, since he's up throwing tea into the harbor or whatever it is he's doing this morning. AJ, hit me with the first quote from Mac Brown this week, and we will try to break down the Coach Speak and what is real there.
What we're doing differently, Art, we did in January, and that's try to develop more depth, especially in the defensive line. Defensive linemen get tired, they give out, they get hurt, and we've played 2 deep, in some cases 3 deep, every game, all year. We've played more at linebacker, we've played more people in safety. In the secondary, we're playing 3 safeties at least, and sometimes 4. Offensively, we haven't had that luxury at offensive line because we've had so many people hurt. Tight ends, thank goodness, we've got Jake Johnson here, so when we lost one of our best players, one of the best tight ends in the country, we were able to have John Copenhaber and Jake ready. We've lost Darwin Barlow for most of the year. I think he's played 9 plays. We thought he would be a guy who would share time with Omarion and keep him fresher. And then Davion Goss has stepped up because you haven't played Caleb Hood as much. You're on your 3rd quarterback. So you're playing a lot of receivers. I think more than anything else, Art, that we're playing depth, and it's a lot of it's experienced, and we thought it would get better as the year would continue, but even more so now that your third quarterback who didn't go through spring practice is just learning the system right now, and with a new offensive line. So all of those things should help us finish strong.
So what I hear is a coach who he's not necessarily patting himself on the back, but you kind of have to give him credit. He did say that they would be better later in the year.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the schedule has not materialized the way that I think we thought it would as far as how those teams have performed. Right. I think we anticipated that the games against Wake and BC and NC State would be relatively tough back in August because of the way those teams started, but it's turned out that those teams are not as strong as you would think. But Mac's point about creating depth is one of the things that a lot of folks roasted him on all offseason, because you saw them fade the last 2 years when they got out to a great start and then literally limped into November with guys, literally dragging injuries, not a ton of depth, and forcing guys to play, 90, 95% of the game at their position. So what you're seeing now is that they've actually forced a little bit of that depth. I would love to see them play more linebackers, but injuries being what they are, you can't really fix that. But I think they have kept themselves fresh, and you've seen a little bit of this defensive resurgence because of the depth Mac is talking about.
Yeah, absolutely on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense. The more guys that played, there's more guys getting experience, and especially for the linebackers and the secondary guys who are part of game-changing plays more than I'm not taking anything away from the D-line, but those guys will stay on the field pretty much every down. D-line, they rotate in and out, which is good to see that they have the depth on the D-line to play the second and third group of guys. It has shown. You keep guys like Kamen Rucker fresh. You could keep guys like Bo and Desmond Evans fresh for third down passing opportunities when they come on the field. You got those guys that are ready to pin their ears back and rush the passer because they're able to not necessarily like take plays off for lack of terms, but they're able to be on the sideline rested because there's more guys that's able to step up. And with the secondary, him, like you said, him playing four safeties, anybody that comes in, I always thought that was kind of hard for a DB or a linebacker. Just
come off the
right, because you kind of get out of a groove when you got to sub in and out. But with the stretch of a season and the possibility of guys getting injured, it's good to have more guys with depth and experience. There's no let off when another guy has to come in because he's got that in-game experience. We get to see it more with the young receivers playing, and with many guys playing, it helps in recruiting as well because guys know like if they come and they have opportunity to get on the field and they're and coaches trust them, they have opportunity to play early. They don't have to sit and wait. It helps in recruiting. It helps in recruiting as well. So and with the possibility of Jacoby coming back for another year at QB and being under that system for a full year instead of him coming at the end of spring and having to play catch up, and then he's still learning the process of the play calling throughout the year and playing with guys up front that when he was first here behind Drake May, a lot of those guys was like freshmen or they was at other schools. And now he's playing with guys that are transferred in. Now they done moved up on the depth chart as well. So he's learning them and learning, just how to work with the guys. So I believe with another year, with him learning towards the end of this season and then being able to go into another year with the extra bowl practices from being bowl eligible, it'd be good for the team for sure.
I think one of the things when you hear Mac sharing, stuff like that, I think he's actually glad too that they've brought some of these guys along more slowly, because then you don't, not only to your point, Searcy, about having energy later in the year or being fresher at the end of the year, you're also taking reps away that you can use later so that guys aren't as dinged up.
Absolutely.
We talked about the 2 buys and the one they had 2 weeks ago and how that was really just a get right week for these guys. So now you've got, you've already had one. You got 2 games left where theoretically you should be healthier than they've been for a while. And I'm being a little superstitious saying that into the atmosphere, but the offensive line being a healthy unit for the last few weeks
that's good for
really has, it's made a lot of difference, not only for Criswell, but for the running game as well. All right, what else we have next, Sir AJ?
Yeah, the guys are excited. They're practicing hard, but they've practiced hard all year. I really think, Adam, it's more confidence. They know what they have to do to win. They've actually learned. We have not played consistently well enough on defense to not play our best on offense and win a game. And we did that Saturday. There were 2 drives that we gave up on Saturday, the one right after the half and the one at the end of the game that we've got to correct. Other than that, we played great defense. And I still, Jeff and I had a long discussion this morning about when you're in 1 minute at the end of the game and you got a 14-point lead, just keep playing. I mean, don't back off, because then you just give stuff up. People do that all the time. And you just got to keep playing. Yeah. And even if they drive it, keep them in front of you. Don't give them the big throw down the middle. That saved time for them and gave them a chance to have some excitement. But we're playing better defense. We're forcing turnovers. We're kicking it better. So the offense doesn't have to score 40 points to win every game. And that's the way we've been. If our quarterbacks didn't play well, we lost. And that's not college football. That this is more sound, fundamentally sound college football and how to win a game when you don't have your best stuff.
So what I hear there is a coach talking about complementary football, sirs.
Right.
I think that's one of the things about the best teams. If you watch on Saturday and you watch games other than North Carolina, you're seeing the best teams are the teams that are complementary. In North Carolina, as Mac Brown said, if Drake or Sam wasn't on the last 4 or 5 years,
yeah, we lost.
You were struggling because the defense couldn't stop a herd of angry toddlers. And now you're at a place where you've got some of that depth. You've got the ability to play a little more freely on defense because guys aren't as banged up, and you've got guys that are willing to step in if they are called upon.
Right.
How important is it to have this sort of complementary football late in the season? Of course, you would love to have had it, in October.
Absolutely.
But you've got it now. How important is it to have that right now?
It gives you a chance to finish strong. And past few games, we've been scoring on all 3 phases of the game. We had punt returns for touchdowns. We have scored on defense. A couple of pick six. We have 3 pick sixes this year, which is
that's
amazing.
Unheard of, yeah.
It's amazing, man. So we that's good complementary football because you win 2 out of the 3 phases of the game, man, you have a great chance of winning. If you could win all 3 phases, then your numbers increase dramatically. But again, it's good. It's good to have guys that are able to step in and play. It's good to have guys that are building that confidence and they're able to go out there. Like when that number is called, they're able to go out there and perform. And that just relates back to the depth, like Coach was saying. Like more guys playing, the better off. Guys are feeling about themselves, and guys are being prepared to finish because we're gonna need it. We still got 2, like you said, we still got 2 games, still got opportunity, man, to have a finish. What we finish at 8-4 if we win these last 2 games out. That'll be
if they win the last 2, they could finish 8-4 going into the bowl game.
Going into a bowl game. So that's a heck of a finish compared to how we thought the season was going for sure. So I'm here for it. I'm rooting for it. They just gotta find the ways to just keep that momentum going and being able to finish.
I think the curiosity, and again, when I hear Mac talking about how they've been able to, the defense has been able to pick them up, I'm also hearing that gives them a little bit more willingness to play conservatively on offense, or at least on offense, they can run the ball and run a 10 or 11 play drive if they want to. If you think about it, last year, they had to try and do that because when you had a talent like Drake May or Sam Howell, those guys could score in an instant.
Absolutely.
And so you're throwing your defense back on the field to get gashed again, right? So now you've got a situation where your defense is a little more competent. You can actually be conservative and run the ball, and you don't have to go put up. You don't have to put up 7 every single time. Now, it's nice to do that, of course, but if you don't, you can actually lean back on these guys. And you made a great point. Sometimes the defense is scoring for you.
Exactly.
So if you're an offensive player, how much does it help you to know that, okay, the pressure's off me a little bit? Not that I can slack, but it's not the same cauldron as if, we've got to score every time because these other guys can't get off the field.
When you see other phases of the game scoring, yes, you can relax a little bit because I know for us on defense, we see our offense clicking on all cylinders, and they're making drives, whether they end with a touchdown or a field goal. We saw they're able to move the ball with ease, and then on special teams, we were eating up, 20, 40 plus yards on special teams plays. That's hitting yardage on the field. Like we setting the offense up for a good field position, and we have opportunities to score as well on special teams. It takes the pressure off, because it's like the team that we're playing against, they can't handle us. Like and everything we've done and prep throughout the week is coming full circle, and we're dominating the game like we prepared for all week. It's very uplifting. I agree with Mac though. When we get late in the game, defense got to buckle down. You can't. And we're up by 14. Let's keep the score up by 14. Like have more. Not sense of, I ain't gonna say pride, because I know our defense is very prideful guys, and they don't want to give up any points late in the game. But I know we was always, if we had a good opportunity, especially we knew if we're up by a couple scores and we knew the team has to throw, it's one or two things gonna happen. Either we're gonna get sack fumbles or we're gonna get interceptions. So
stay there. Were you frustrated to see him give up that late touchdown last week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't get me wrong, a win, you never apologize for a win, but you want to see that performance. You want to see those guys finish strong, because they've been dominating all game. And
that could have put, they were up 2 scores. And,
exactly.
And without that,
it's we was getting turnovers. We scored one of the turnovers. We was getting off the field when we was able to get off the field. When we were supposed to get off the field, they was getting off the field. So you want to see them. You want to see them finish and show that we could finish a complete game. It is not just of, spurts here, and now at the end we're gonna relax. Like, no, we want to you got to be able to keep your foot on their neck and foot on the throttle, man, and finish the game strong.
That's something that certainly North Carolina has struggled with, not just in games, but they've struggled to finish seasons strongly, and I think that's going to be, excuse me, they have that opportunity to fix that and to right that ship both this week and next. It is going to be a bit of an element struggle. It is going to be, maybe even a test of wills, because both of these teams, as we've said, are comfortable running the ball. Both of these teams are fine just lining up and trying to put their offensive line against your defensive line and vice versa to see, can you stop them? Specifically, 2 guys to watch for Boston College, Kai Robichaux and Treshaun Ward. Both of those guys are capable running backs. I think both of them together have just about 1,000 yards total on the season. So they're willing to line up and just let those guys run it. I think Treshaun Ward's running for almost 5.5 yards a clip. So that's something you need to be concerned with. And again, Boston College typically has a good offensive line, so it will be a great test for a UNC defense that not only have they started getting some depth under them, they've started to show that they're willing to be a little stingy against the run game, and have done so really well on this little winning streak they've got. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, talk to Jason Staples. It's our Game Week Staples segment. We love talking a little bit of X's and O's and nerd out with Staple a little bit. So we'll have him back right after this break. He's Da'Norris Searcy. I'm Joey Powell. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
Hey, it's Trey Boston, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
For over 20 years, there's been no better place online for the Tar Heel sports community than Inside Carolina. Exclusive recruiting information, in-depth team analysis, insightful podcasts. There's nowhere else that you'll find the level of daily content about the Tar Heels than InsideCarolina.com. Join the best community for Tar Heel sports around. The Tar Heels are your hometown team, and Inside Carolina is your hometown site for Tar Heel sports.
My name is Gary Craig. We built our first custom home in Chapel Ridge, North Carolina, and Will Johnson was our builder and did an absolutely terrific job. When we met Will Johnson, it was obvious to us that he had a team. It was Ben, Rebecca, Lori. He had his own finishing crews, and we had confidence in him and trust in him, and it worked out great.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself.
Hey Chris, what's going on at Mark Jacobson Toyota?
Toyotathon.
Toyotathon?
That's right, Toyotathon is back. Rates as low as 3.99% on Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. $1,000 holiday bonus cash on Tacoma and Tundra.
Yeah, but do you actually have those cars?
You bet we do. We have more cars than we've had in years, and even more on the way.
Toyotathon is on at Mark Jacobson Toyota, 15501, just north of I-40, where we say
yes! 3.99% APR on select new Camry, Corolla, and RAV4 with qualified credit. $1,000 cash on new Tundra and Tacoma, excluding TRD Pro and Trailhunter models. Does not require financing.
I'm Jeremy Salemson with CIMG Residential Mortgage. At CIMG, we are so proud to be your local mortgage experts. At CIMG, we loan our own money, approve loans locally, and stay connected with our customers throughout the process. In short, we humanize the lending experience. Learn more at CIMGINC.com. CIMG, lending on a first-name basis. NMLS number 39460.
If you're more than someone who just checks the scores, I want to introduce you to the place for Tar Heel sports discussion, analysis, and breaking news. Inside Carolina has been the center of the Tar Heel sporting universe for over 20 years, with a team of the best UNC sports reporters around, unrivaled insight, and a vast message board community for round-the-clock discussion with other Tar Heel fans. Your game day begins and ends with InsideCarolina.com.
This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. 80% of the homeowners that have a generator have a Generac. We want to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what are your fears, wishes, desires. And then how do we do this project the most efficiently? We're also here to give you peace of mind, protection, safety, and security. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
Are you working? What kind of work do you do?
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Waiting for your next mistake. I put in work and watch my status escalate. Now I'ma start collecting prize.
Inside Carolina Live. Happy Saturday to you. We're glad that you're joining us. I am Joey Powell. He is Da'Norris Searcy. Often called by most major publications the hitter and the hater. But we are glad that you are making our show a part of your morning. Tar Heels will be kicking off at noon on the CW right after a great episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer against Boston College in Chestnut Hill. We hope that you have a chance to see that, and we're trying to get you set up for that. Continue to get you set up for that. We'll talk with our friend Jason Staples, who is on the line right now.
I am the smartest man alive!
Now, for full disclosure for our audience, because we like to do that, Jason Staples is joining us early from San Diego, which I believe is pronounced San Diego. Staples, how you feeling, man?
Oh, I have no idea. You know, out here, there's I'm not sure how you're allowed to feel or all that stuff. So I'm just gonna keep all of that to myself and just try to, get the job done.
Do you want to talk some ball?
I'm up for that.
All right. Well, so one of the things that we
better
mentioned,
that than Buffy.
Fair. That's I don't think anyone listening to this show would argue that whatsoever. We talked about earlier in the game about how not only is this Boston College's MO, right? They're usually a very kind of a smash mouth, very steady, don't beat themselves team. They would love to line up and run it 8 out of 9 times against you and just grind the game out. And they've got Bill O'Brien, who is very much an NFL style coach because he's been coaching for a million years. Right. How do you scheme if you're, both sides of the ball, both Chip Lindsey and Jeff Collins? How do you scheme for a team that is very capable of being patient and just kind of stalling you out?
I think the biggest thing is you got to win up front. And if you win up, football is a very simple game. At bottom, if they can't block you on defense up front, it's going to be very hard for them to have success. So win up front. Don't give the space for them to be able to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards per carry. And all of a sudden, they can't be patient because if you're going 3 and out, well, you can be patient standing right over there. Right? So that's first thing. Just win up front enough against the run, and especially you got to win first down. You got to win and not give up 4, 5, 6 yards on that first down carry when they hand the ball off. And then all of a sudden they're behind the sticks a little bit, and they've got to determine, are we going to be patient and run it again? And now you're as a defense, you've got some leverage. You can start to tee off a little bit And if you can win first down, now you're in a position where second down starts to look viable. And you get to third and long, and patient teams start to throw the football because they got to stay on the field. Everybody throws the football in third and long, and if they don't, you get your one more stop by winning up front, and you feel good. But all of a sudden, they can't be as patient as they want to be. And then on the flip side, on offense, win on first down. If Omarion Hampton is getting 4 or 5 yards a pop on first down or more, well, that opens up your whole offense.
Yeah,
you just feed that guy, because the other thing is, if he's getting 4 yards on first down, you know what? Second, third quarter, fourth quarter, that 4 yards is going to turn into 12, 17, 32, and more. And so Carolina has to just turn and be patient, and you've got to win the run game up front. So football's not a complicated game in that respect. Things get complicated when, on offense, they can stop some of the stuff that you want to do running the football, or they can present some problems with this matchup or that matchup, and now you have to change up a little bit of what you're doing to be able to get some of those things done. But to me, this is an old school Big Ten matchup of two teams that want to be patient, run the rock, and not do anything stupid while having some quality reps from their offensive and defensive lines and their running backs.
We're talking with Jason Staples, great analyst for InsideCarolina.com and all-around good human being. Staples, I'm looking at a Boston College team that, because of the quarterback change, their film isn't really who they want to be. How do you approach that if you're trying to, if you're Jeff Collins and you're looking at, no more Castellanos, who is absolutely kind of the nightmare quarterback North Carolina struggles with. Now you're looking at a Grayson James, who is more of a drop back traditional passer, which I think is what Bill O'Brien probably wanted to begin with, but you couldn't deny Thomas Castellanos. Right. What's a game planning situation in the defensive call room look like the week leading up to a game like this, where their tape really isn't who they want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you have to do, first of all, is some of that stuff, their personnel up front doesn't change. You're still playing the same team in that respect, right? You still, nothing has changed on that side. What you're doing in some sense is you're just going in and you're saying, okay, first of all, a sigh of relief. Whew, at least we ain't having to defend that guy.
Yeah.
Because, they may be better without him. And I think O'Brien certainly thinks they are, because the other guy is able to make better plays in the confines of the offense, within the structure. The problem is that they may be better, but they're less predictable. And as a defensive coordinator, the thing that drives you crazy is the unpredictability of certain things, where, a guy like Castellanos, they're better on average without him maybe. But on a play-to-play or game-to-game basis, a guy like that can catch fire and start to cause breakdowns on defense that make you much worse off. So what you basically do is, first of all, you have a big sigh of relief of, okay, I have an idea of what their quarterback is going to do, because I know the structure of what they want to do, and I can kind of delete the stuff that guy kept doing with his feet, with his legs in the running games, and all the things that come out of that with him out of the pocket that they were able to cause problems with at times for teams earlier in the year. So you just delete that and you say, okay, we know what they like to run on first down. That hasn't changed. We know what pass concepts they like to run. They've shown those the last couple of weeks with the other guy. And, they're still running a lot of the same pass concepts as they did with Castellanos. So you basically prepare for the concepts and you prepare for what they like to do. And you're not having to constantly harp on, okay, look, if you are out of your rush lane here, this is a touchdown, and not because he can throw. So you're not harping on some of that stuff quite as much. And you do turn your defensive line loose a little bit more than you would with a guy that can run. And you
Right.
also, I think, with a guy that can run, Da'Norris, when you're in the secondary and there's a guy that can run, you know this.
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to play all the complex coverages and as much man. 'Cause
Absolutely.
That's going to affect what you can do. You better have your eyes on the quarterback. Well, now you can maybe get a little bit less vanilla. You can maybe throw a couple extra things in there at the guy that you don't think can run. So that's what changes for you on the defensive side. That doesn't mean they're not, ultimately better off, because if that guy is more accurate within the structure and can pick you apart in the secondary, that eventually is worse, but it is a little bit less scary, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it is. It's one less thing you got to worry about if he's not a running quarterback. We don't have to worry about his legs. Just focus more so on his arms. But one of my questions I have for you, with even though Boston College is having the season they're having, Carolina's still going on the road, still going into a hostile environment, and with the factor of the weather, how do you think Carolina will handle the weather being up there in Boston College today?
That's one of those soft factors that I tend to think doesn't have or shouldn't have as much effect as a lot of people think.
Mm-hmm.
But it varies with every team. You know this
Right,
as well.
absolutely.
I mean, you got some guys that are mutters and some guys that aren't. The biggest thing, from a coaching side, what you're trying to emphasize is, they're playing in the same weather we are. And, you make sure that your different guys are adequately equipped to, not feel the effects as much. Put the heat gear on under the pads and all that, whatever. But just play ball. You're doing the same thing. One thing that I as a coach do believe in, and that is, if you are a ball carrier, if you're a regular ball carrier, and you have to tuck that football, I'm one of those guys who prohibits the long sleeves that the compression sleeves that go all the way down below the elbows.
Absolutely.
You may feel better without feeling the weather there, but I want you to be able to feel the football, and I don't want that to be something that is smoother. And those sleeves, the thing that in this kind of thing matters more to me is ball security, because the ball does sort of tighten up and get a little bit easier to fumble, to drop, and the pressure you put on the football feels a little different as well. That to me is the big point of emphasis, is making sure that the ball handling is first rate. Your hands get cold, all that stuff. That's where, those things matter the most. Beyond that, when you're looking at, precipitation and wind and all that, both teams have to deal with all that. You just play ball. But to me, it's when you start playing cold weather stuff, it's making sure your hands and your lower arms are prepared to handle the football if you're a ball carrier.
Staples, I want to ask you this before we let you go. And we appreciate Jason Staples joining us all the way from San Diego.
San Diego.
Yes.
It's San Diego.
Yes. Which I believe is Spanish for whale's vagina.
And I'm way up in there. Way
Staples,
up in San Diego.
one of my favorite routes in all of football is something we're going to see a lot of today, and it's because Boston College loves a wheel. How can North Carolina defend against these wheel and rail routes against BC today that they're likely to see a couple times?
Well, first of all, you have to know that they're going to run it a bunch, and so that means you're emphasizing leverage and eyes with your secondary and with your backers. And the other thing is, you have to know when they're in the kinds of formations and looks that they like to run those rail and wheel routes. And for those of you who are listening, the difference between a wheel route, which is kind of an out and up, and a rail route is just a matter of how quickly the back, out of the backfield in this case, that's who they usually run this to, sometimes to the tight end or H-back, how quickly he's getting vertical, whether he's actually trying to kind of turn his head and make it look like he's going to the flat, or whether he's just going. So, and they do both. The thing that you've got to do is you got to know, okay, this formation, they run that route. and this is down and distance where they like to run that. So maybe we banjo this. Maybe the outside corner is you have to know what your plan is. Are you switching so that outside corner is going to just let the inside route, which is usually some sort of shallow cross for them, just release him to the backer or to the nickel or whoever's going to pick him up, and we're just going to have that corner take that. You got to know how you're doing that, because if you're in some sort of man-based coverage, that sort of thing, that's where you get in trouble. Is you get a guy who gets bumped with a rub route or has to run over the top or whatever, and you end up in a bad leverage situation. That's when you get burnt. So the biggest thing is understanding, okay, given the concept we have to really be communicating. Are we switching this? Are we swapping off? And if so, we got to communicate the heck out of that. And then if we're not swapping this off, your eyes have to be perfect. You got to know where that guy might be coming from in terms of the rub. You got to know where you got to be to get over top and make sure that you're in position. Final thing for me on that is this is one of those things where if you're beat, you commit pass interference.
Take the 15.
Take the 15.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
take the 15. And honestly, if you're beat, you take the hold and you'll take the 10 yards rather than the 15. Just hold right there. Because if you're beat, you better make sure you're beat for 10, 15 yards rather than for a score. And this is, it's the equivalent of in basketball. If he's going to the foul line, you better make sure he's going to earn it.
Yeah, foul.
You better make sure that he is not. If you're going to foul him, you better foul him. He better not get an and one. That's the other thing on this is if you're going to get beat, don't get beat back.
Well,
and just take that.
10 this is one situation where 10 is less than 7, and you certainly lean into that. Staples, we appreciate it, man. Stay classy. We will talk to you very, very soon. We're going to take our last break of the hour. We'll be right back with Da'Norris's Memory Lane here on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
I'm Shaquille Rashad, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. Late in the third quarter against Wake Forest, Carolina was holding on to a 7-point lead when Marcus Allen made a big interception, leading to Carolina's drive of the game. Capped by Omarion Hampton jumping over the defensive line and bulldozing his way in for a touchdown to seal another big win for the Heels.
2nd and 5 for Wake Forest at the 47. Kern, the backup QB, almost. Pick. Yes, he does throw a pick. Marcus Allen juggled it, but brought it in. Wake moving up front. Carolina will hand to Hampton. Leaps over the pile. Is hit at the 4. Let's go! His way in for the touchdown. Hampton was met midair and would not be stopped.
That was this week's Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. Save $25 when you spend $75 or more at any of Chapel Hill Tire's 11 area locations. Find and click on the Drive of the Game banners on chapelboro.com for full details, and drive happy, Tar Heels.
Trying to finish my crossword. People always come up and ask me. They say, Stanley, you seem like you're good with money. What kind of retirement planning tips do you have for me? Well, first I glare at them so they know not to bother me next time. And then I slide a business card over to them. John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management. He's the guy for me. Online at meetwithjohn.com.
Stanley Hudson isn't real and therefore wasn't compensated for this endorsement. However, Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a real registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina.
New Hope Church offers so much more than just Sunday services. Hey Tar Heels, I'm Adam Bishop, senior pastor here to share about all the ways you can connect in community and make new friends regardless of whatever season you're life in. Maybe you're a new parent, maybe you've got elementary age students, maybe you're a college student, a young professional, empty nester. We have multiple ways for you to connect and make friends with people who are in the same season of life. And here's the good news. There are a variety of options to fit whatever your busy schedule may look like. So check out our website, newhopechurch.org, to see all of these group opportunities for you to both make new friends and experience hope.
This is Hubert Davis, head coach of the Tar Heels. The new Sheridan Chapel Hill has been completely renovated with all the amenities you need to fully enjoy your time here. So don't forget to make reservations for you, your family, and friends at the new Sheridan Chapel Hill, where so many Tar Heel alumni and fans stay for home games and other special visits. Go to SheridanChapelHill.com for our home games and your other reasons to be in Chapel Hill. Thank you, and go Heels.
This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. I really stress with the customers that we are looking to be their generator partner for the next 10, 15, 20 years for their ownership of having a generator. We want to make sure they can rely on us that that generator is ready to run and on go when they need it. Go to GeneratorSupercenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSupercenterOfTheTriangle.com.
Hi, it's Jones Angel, voice of the Tar Heels, and you're listening to your flagship station for Tar Heel sports, 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, Chapel Hill.
Coming to you straight from the heart of Chapel Hill in the 97.9 The Hill WCHL studios on East Franklin Street, from the independent voice of UNC sports, covering everything from Amos Lawrence to Zach Brown. This is Inside Carolina Live. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Riders on the storm.
Inside Carolina Live, Da'Norris Searcy, Joey Powell with you. AJ on the ones and twos. No Evan, because it's good he would not understand that. He wouldn't understand that Doors blend right there, because he had no idea who the Doors were. But Evan is up in Boston covering the game today, so he's going to send us some nuggets as he's able to report, so we can get you guys the most up-to-date news. And hey, like I said, call your mama, let her know her favorite pregame show is on. We appreciate her listening, and we appreciate you listening. Shout out everybody who's in the chat, and shout out anybody who's listening on terrestrial locally, 97.9 FM. Sirs, this is your segment, bro. This is the memory lane segment. We like to let you talk about your specific playing experiences, and I think that's probably something that a lot of folks like to hear from you about. So first one, I'm going to make this easy on you. Playing in the Northeast, dude, you got a check from the Bills for a long time, and the Buffalo is probably the northeast city that I can think of as far as weather during football season. So since that seems to be a fun topic for today, with the Tar Heels playing in some rain and pseudo cold conditions, at least more extreme than they've seen this year, I'm going to ask you, what do you remember the most about playing in the elements when you were student? And again, I know you played at Boston when you were in school, but tell me a little bit what's different about that.
I played up north a few times my time here in Carolina. My sophomore year, we played Rutgers up there. We was fortunate enough to play them in like early September. Yeah. So we also went.
Is that the one where Kendrick Burney tried to kill a guy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Then we also played up there. We played UConn up there, but it was also early in September.
Right.
So, but the latest we played up there was 2009 against Boston College. We played them up there in November, but we got lucky. It was like 70 degrees on that day. But being drafted to Buffalo and being up there those 4 years, man, after Halloween week, man, it turns we used to call Buffalo Gotham City, because we wouldn't see no sunlight. It was always gloomy, snowing all over the place. But I mean, it was cool. It was easy. I didn't care. I was getting paid, so I would have played in Alaska as long as I was getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
That'll keep you warm.
The check keep you warm every night. But I mean, it was pretty cool. I got white Christmases, white Thanksgivings. I was able to see more snow than I ever seen before. It allowed me to be able to adjust. So when we have cold games later in the season, I was prepared. But it also made us appreciate games where, like, later in the season, we used to have Miami game. Oh my God! So when the schedule come out, we used to always look for those late games. Yeah. Like I remember,
can I go to LA? Can I go to Miami? Right. Can I go to LA?
I remember 2013 in December of 2013. 3 of the 4 games in December was in Florida. Like we played Tampa Bay down in Tampa Bay. We played Jacksonville down in Jacksonville. And we played Miami down in Miami. Like
that's a nice stretch.
We only had one game we only had one home game in Buffalo. That was against the Jets at home in December. So I enjoyed 2013 for sure, being able to get out of Buffalo a little bit, escape the cold. But as I got older, I realized like that was our edge, to have teams come to play us. In November, December, when the temperatures change. So it grew on me. But other than that, man, I have no complaints. Playing in it wasn't hard. It was when I wanted to go to the store.
Yeah. Well, we ain't gonna worry about that.
It's -3 outside. I'm like, I know I'm not going to the store. Like, you know what I'm saying? But playing it, I can deal with it. But living in it sometimes it causes its challenges. So that's why I would say the guys for the day, they just there today, so to just go out there and just strap it up and just play and get through it and get this win.
I don't have the cholesterol to be playing in Buffalo weather. Let me ask you this: what did coaches do to prep you for it? Because you think about it here again in the pros, you're getting paid, but for North Carolina, this is the first time that they will have seen any sort of elements this year, which is why I'm kind of putting an overemphasis on it. It's not like they're playing in a blizzard like we saw with Cleveland and Pittsburgh the other night, but this is the first time they'll be playing in the cold and potentially precipitation. So what do coaches do to get a team ready to go up to see that? Because the last thing you want is these guys walking on the field to kick. It's the first time they've dealt with it.
You try to simulate the weather as much as possible. It was a cold game. Wasn't no point of going inside. We call it the bubble. So wasn't no point of going into the bubble if we know this game this week is going to be played outside in a certain amount of weather. So our coaches would make us practice out in it all week to get used to it. He would go ahead and he would tell us go ahead and get used to wearing what you're going to wear on game day and everything. Test out what you're going to need for the game, because once the game here, that's all that matters is getting the win. So we wouldn't if we was like when I was in Buffalo when if it was November, December and we was playing down in Miami, then we would practice indoors and they would crank the heat indoors to get ready for the Miami weather. But if we was playing at home that week and the temperature was going to be in the weather that it already is that for that day, then we would go outside. But sometimes it would be on snow, so snow would be all over the field. They had time to like uncover the practice field. So what we do, we would go in the bubble, but we would still open. They would open all the doors. They would turn the air off, and they would open all the doors. And so we would still get that cold air coming in the indoor. So they try to simulate it as much as possible to get used to it. So that's what I would do as a coach. If it's going to be cold, ain't no point of us practicing indoors when the temperature is going to be below norm when we go play. So I would try to simulate the game time weather as much as possible so the team can get used to it.
For the younger guys, how can they change their mental approach, whether the mental is put your head down and just play and tune it out, whether your focus is just ramped up so that you don't notice the conditions, or you think about guys too, like stepping differently on a wet turf field can get you hurt, right? So how do you teach younger guys that have never played in these conditions to get right?
If you're a younger guy, I'm trying to be on some form of special teams or something this week, because I don't want to just stand there in the cold the whole game. I want to be
get your heart rate up.
Yeah, the more you play, the warmer you felt throughout the game. As the game goes on, you know your body temperature adjusts to it, and if you're playing a lot, you're going to be warm throughout the game. For the younger guys that's not playing, I found the best way to deal with the elements, whether it's hand warmers or whatever they may need. But I will always move along the sideline and encourage my teammates and make sure that I'm in tune with the game, because you never know what will happen. Like the mental aspect is no matter the weather, no matter the situation, the main objective is coming out of this game with a win, and that's what we're here for.
When you're thinking about, and I know you don't think it's a trap game, but going into today, anytime you've got your rival the next week and you're going on the road where, again, you had your up last week to get to bowl eligibility at home. Next week, you've got your rival to close out the regular season. This is a game that could be overlooked. I'm not calling it trappy, but it is a game that this team, humans being what they are, that this team could probably get a bit distracted. We'll say that. Let's say they're distracted instead of it being a trap. Were there any guys that were really good at it when you were playing, or was there something you would tell yourself? Because, again, we all look at the schedule and we see, all right, who's good, who's not, especially this time of year. But you're just trying to go out there and get to the finish line. So what's something that you saw, whether it was a good teammate or maybe it was something you did to get yourself to not allow any slippage because of other things that were going on the calendar? Oh, man. For one, I didn't want to go. I don't care who was playing. I didn't want to be embarrassed, because I know we still had to watch the film the next day. That works. That's motivation. The game on TV, I didn't want to be embarrassed on TV. I want an opportunity, like, man, this could be a game where I could possibly make an impact, not only in the return game, or I could get an interception, or if I'm a return, anything can happen. So I always want to be on my P's and Q's. Like I say, it's another opportunity to add to my resume. It's another opportunity to show teams that I can play, no matter who the opponent is. So
I would still go in with the laser focus of getting the job done. If it's a team I expect to get turnovers or I expect to have a good defensive game, I'm going in with that mindset because I want to. If we go out here and do what we need to do, maybe I'm on the sideline with the last 5 minutes left in the game and I'm just relaxing and just enjoying my time because it has happened before where we came out and dominated and last 5 minutes of the game like the starters wasn't in, so I was able to be on the sideline, eat sunflower seeds and things of that nature, looking in the stands. It's only happened a couple times in my career at Carolina, but the couple times it happened, though, I enjoyed it for sure. But
one was at Rutgers, wasn't it?
One was at Rutgers.
Y'all blew the doors off of them
yeah,
that night.
and the next was senior year. We played Virginia up in Virginia. That 44-10.
That was the Dwight Jones.
Yeah, man, yeah. So last 5 minutes, we was on the sideline. I was on the sideline chilling.
But that's what you want from a defensive player.
Absolutely.
You want to have your understudies out there taking the reps at the end.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, and I'm probably throwing red meat to a pit bull here a little bit, but you're playing against a team that wants to run the ball. How excited are you as a safety to be able to more than likely be coming downhill on 3 out of 4 plays today? Like you're going to be in the box a majority of the time, and you're probably going to be triggering downhill pretty early. A majority of the time. How excited are you as a safety, ready to line up?
I'm licking my chops for that because that's just one less thing we have to worry about. It's one of those type of games, and we used to know that going into the game when we was in the NFL. We was like, it's gonna be one of those ground and pound, whoever can establish the line of scrimmage. So you knew it was one of those double chin strap games. So you know what I'm saying? I used to love those. I don't have to worry about covering you because you can't throw it. Everybody's trying to run it because we know what type of day it is. I used to love those. That's where you get. That's where you establish your plot of land.
What are you doing different? So I know you always like to talk about doing your 111, but what are you doing differently in a game where you know they're going to try to run at you?
I still going to key in on my keys. So I'm still like if my job even though I know they're running it, teams will throw a wrinkle in there every now and then. So I still watch my keys if I know tight end engages with this guy, it's a run, or if I know a receiver looking at me, he's coming to try to block me. So I would still look at my keys and whatnot, but I would know like the ultimate end game is to establish a line of scrimmage, and whoever can establish a line of scrimmage had the best chance of winning. So I look forward to games like that. That's less running. Long as especially if you stop the run right then and there, let's run it for you. It's 3 and out. Games go by faster because the more you run, the clock is continuing to run on the ground. So those games games like that when you go from possibly running 65 snaps to only for like 45 snaps is easy on your body. So that's why the guys like that we love those type of games. Yes, it may look barbaric because they're running the ball, but at the end of the day, if it's only 45 snaps as compared to 65, that's 20 less hits on your bodies and 20 less chances you're taking to get injured. Yeah, absolutely. So we love those games.
I'm going to throw out Georgia Tech because we will not discuss the hellacious offense that Paul Johnson ran when he was there. But what was your favorite running game memory from when you played against somebody you knew they were going to try to run? Maybe they had a very prolific running back.
Clemson.
Clemson
2010.
They had Spiller then?
They had Spiller had just left. So because I only played Clemson one time. That was my senior year. So Spiller was at Clemson my junior year, his senior year.
So I don't even remember who the running back would have been then.
Ellington and Harper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
I ended up playing 3 years in Buffalo with C.J. Spiller, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, he was
talk about a special teams demon.
Right. Yes, he was awesome.
So what was what memories do you have from playing against Clemson, knowing they were coming downhill?
Well, I knew all their run formations, and I knew the receivers was too scared to come in there and try to block me and Deontay because of our sizes. So I didn't have to worry about no receiver trying to crack me in the ear or anything like that. I was just reading, run, and reacting. It was a couple plays I came from like 10 yards off the ball and got tackled for losses because I recognized it was going to be a run. So games like that, I used to love
those.
That's
a real hair on fire day when you don't have to worry about seriously. You don't have to worry about anybody hitting you from the blind side. You don't have to worry about anybody really wanting to hold on to their blocks a little longer. That's the thing when you get against teams that have that penchant for playing a little dirty and they want to hold that block a little extra long. Those are the ones where you're like, man, this is going to be a grind. But if you've got a team that wants to run the ball, but they don't have that sort of mindset,
they don't have the guys
from their
right
tight
mindset.
ends or their outside players, I can imagine
it's a
he would run around. Yeah,
it's a feeding frenzy for sure.
So I'm assuming today that's going to be more of that for North Carolina. And I didn't say a ton about this earlier, but there's probably going to be some situations today where North Carolina can set up some play action. And I've loved the fact that they're willing to run Omarion Hampton. I've loved the fact that they're willing to lean on him. I think today is going to be the most quote unquote Omarion Hampton-ish game you can find, weather speaking. But I think today might be a day where they can set up some play action and get guys like their safeties up in the box and then throw over their heads. We have not seen Jacoby Criswell throw a ton of deep balls. I think he's had moderate success with balls over 20, but I have not seen him throw a ton over 30 or greater. And I think that might be an opportunity for them against this Boston College pass defense. I really, if I'm being honest, I thought we would have seen more of it last week against Wake Forest because of who Wake Forest's defense was and the fact that they were not typically stout against the pass. But I think today there may be an opportunity. For North Carolina to play a little bit of play action, especially on early downs. The problem is you got to hit some of those because you're doing that on first down and not hitting it, then all of a sudden you're behind the chains.
Right.
And then a team like Boston College can be a little greedy and can sit back on you. I am curious from your standpoint, Da'Norris, is there something specifically you'd like to see out of the offense today, or is it just turn around, hand it off 28?
I mean, if he's like I said, if he's getting 5-6 yards of carry, they keep feeding the All-American. But yeah, if we have some chances in the game, if he's getting off and having a great performance so far, and we're able to get some play action, then yeah, take those shots. You never know. I mean, yeah, it may be raining, but if you got a chance to open the playbook up and get some, work on play action and getting some shots downfield, use them because you never know they could come up big for you next week against State, and also you get more chances to work on it for the bowl practices and whatnot. But you can't be scared to take those opportunities, especially if you got a guy like Omarion that's performing and he's doing what he's been doing all year, and that's been running the ball amazingly. Take advantage of that. You got to be able to be able to balance it and offset the defenses by connecting on pass from 20 yards to even 30 yards. So that'll help tremendously in this game.
I would be really excited today if I'm a North Carolina fan and I see them running some play action with some seam routes attached for the tight ends.
Yes.
Because that's the type of thing, again, if you can suck that defense in and get them cheating up just a little bit or get them seeing some eye candy, especially after they've had to tackle 28 a whole lot, that may open up some things over the middle, whether it's play action into a quick slant, play action into a seam route, play action to just a tight end go. Something like that could be very, very beneficial for them because that's one of the things that Boston College has been able to do a little bit with Kamari Morales. And so, maybe give the team the thing that they like to use, maybe throw it back at them a little bit today.
Yeah.
And see how they
handle it.
Exactly. See how they respond. All right, we're going to come right back with our IC Takeover segment. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody, if you're within the sound of my voice, hit us up with some questions, either on the premium message boards, in the YouTube chat, or however you want to interact with us. You can still hit us on the old X, formerly known as Twitter machine, if you'd like to do that as well. But shoot us some questions. We're going to take them in the next segment in our IC Takeover, and we're going to allow somebody to ask a really, really good question and get a $50 gift card from our friends over at Johnny T-Shirt. It's almost Black Friday, guys. They're already running a pre-Black Friday sale at Johnny T-Shirt. So we're going to hook you up if you will get us with some of the good questions here in a little bit. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
Hey, I'm Eric Church, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
My name is Gary Craig. We built our first custom home in Chapel Ridge, North Carolina, and Will Johnson was our builder and did an absolutely terrific job. We met with Will Johnson in his office. He had Ben with him, and Ben said, I think I can make this thing even better. And by golly, he did. The final plan was just absolutely terrific. I even kept his plan on a frame in my office to show how good it was.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself. Hey, Chris, what's going on at Mark Jacobson Toyota?
Toyotathon.
Toyotathon?
That's right. Toyotathon is back. Rates as low as 3.99% on Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. Our $1,000 holiday bonus cash on Tacoma and Tundra.
Yeah, but do you actually have those cars?
You bet we do. We have more cars than we've had in years, and even more on the way.
Toyotathon is on at Mark Jacobson Toyota, 15501, just north of I-40, where we say
yes!
3.99% APR on select new Camry, Corolla, and RAV4 with qualified credit. $1,000 cash on new Tundra and Tacoma, excluding TRD Pro and Trailhunter models. Does not require financing.
Do you know someone who's always giving of themselves and never asks for anything in return? This is Mark Pons with Chapel Hill Tire, and we want to celebrate those special people. Through November 29th, nominate a community hero for our 12 Days of Kindness car care giveaway. Visit 12days.chapelhilltire.com to honor your deserving hero with up to $1,000 in free car care. Let's give back to those who give so much and help all our neighbors drive happy. Make your nomination today at 12days.chapelhilltire.com.
Hey, it's Tommy Ashley from Inside Carolina, and I always shop at Johnny T-Shirt. A Franklin Street tradition since 1983, Johnny T-Shirt has all the greatest selections of Tar Heel gear, from football jerseys to T-shirts to hats and Carolina gifts for all ages. Help Inside Carolina support this great family and alumni-owned business and get all your Tar Heel gear at Johnny T-Shirt, 128 East Franklin Street in downtown Chapel Hill, or shop online and get your Tar Heel merchandise delivered to your doorstep with JohnnyT-Shirt.com.
Dana Wicker Cantrell uses compassionate real estate with Caldwell Banker, Howard Perry, and Walston.
Where I find people get the most emotional about selling their homes is when they have to get rid of furniture that's been in their family. And I advise them, all the people that have ever downsized with me, none of them have come back and been upset. We're talking later and they say this was the best thing I've ever done. There's a bit of a release when we can let go of these things.
For more information, go to danacantrellrealty.com.
Hey, Ellie.
Hey, Jack.
Share a fun fact from the jewelry business.
December into the New Year's is the most popular time of year to get engaged. We know this because we have the best selection of bridal jewelry at Allman's Jewelers.
Diamond and gemstone earrings, rings, and bracelets make a splash for folks looking for that extra special gift.
Most important, gifts from the heart go a long way, and you don't have to break the bank to find something beautiful and special.
Stackable rings and bracelets have been so popular this season.
Go visit Jack and Ely at Allman's Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing. Just stop in or visit allmansjewelers.com for more info.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Inside Carolina Live, getting you ready for Tar Heels versus Eagles. Played up in Chestnut Hill today at noon. Tar Heels favored by 2.5, which is roughly a toss-up if you believe old adages from folks that care about that kind of stuff. Total at 51.5. So we were talking in the break. We always like to tease some questions from folks in the audience for this specific segment, because this is the one where we give you a chance to win some goodness from Johnny T-Shirt. And one of the questions we'll get to in just a little bit was specifically targeted at my co-host today. So we're gonna get to that, but let's just say y'all got my man fired up during the break. So
I gotta go back to see who.
We'll get there. Don't eat all the food yet. Let it cool off.
Nah, man.
So first question from our guy M. Cameron on X, formerly known as Twitter. He says UNC wins if Criswell does blank. I think that's a great question. So, Sarge, I'm going to let you take that one first.
UNC wins is Criswell protect the ball. Don't put it in harm's way. Turn around and give it to Amaria. And when you have the opportunities to make plays downfield, take the best advantage of them for sure. But the main thing is possess the football. We keep the ball out of no turnovers, and we find ways to put the ball in the end zone, then we'll be good.
This, to me, is a percentage game. And what I mean by that is it's probably not going to be an air-it-out game, as we've said ad nauseum. But where I think there can be a real impact by Jacoby Criswell today is when you have chances to throw the ball.
Yes,
be on with it.
You got
and again, it's a percentage. Sure. I don't need him to throw for 400 yards, but I do need him to complete probably 70% of his passes.
Right,
and that's where I think, again, to your point about where you think about kind of keeping the ball out of harm's way, protecting the football, don't put it in danger. If they, I don't expect a lot of screen game today, but if they do throw some screen game, make sure you're getting it there, putting some zip on the ball. And, if you're throwing over the middle, make sure that you're putting it where only your guy can get it.
Absolutely.
Those kinds of things. And I think
the run game will help for sure. So,
yes.
Because if we can stay at third and manageable the whole game, we don't have to take shots downfield. If we can get in third and 3 to 5, we can nickel and dime and just keep moving the sticks and keeping our defense off the field and keeping them fresh. So when they come in, they can pin their ears back. But just when we need to stay on the field, and we're in the red zone, which I anticipate us being in the red zone a lot today. We got to find ways to come away with 6 instead of 3 every time.
Yeah, well, and that's, again, like when you're talking about a game where possessions are going to probably be truncated, you're not going to have as many chances to score as you might want. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to make them count. So it's a percentage game for me. I think it's a good question, M. Cameron. All right, let's get to some ones from our YouTube chats here. Some really, really good questions. Again, we got folks from all over listening to us or joining us even on YouTube today. Some folks from Utah and other states all around this great country of ours. So first one from at David McCarson. Shout out to David. He's been very active today in the chat. So how many carries will Hampton have today? So I'm going to change that. Instead of saying how many carries would he have, I'm going to ask you, sirs, how many do you want him to have?
20 to 25. At least 20 to 25. That 30 carry,
much?
oh my God, yeah. I mean, I understand now, because if they can't stop him, then of course, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It depends on the flow of the game. But I would see him get at least 20 to 25 carries and have 200 yards and be able to sit down. Like, I don't want to see him late in the game, but it'll come down to how the game go and how the flow of the game is. But I just know that's why I was like, this has got to be his last year, because the amount of carries
tread on tires.
Exactly. If you're gonna keep getting tread on those tires, man, go make the big bucks for it for sure. So I want to see those carries come down, but I want to see them be productive as well. But if they can't contain the beast, keep feeding them for sure.
Yeah, I think for Hampton, when David asks how many carries will he have, I'm going to say whatever it is, it ain't enough. In a game like today, you've only got him for 2 more games, likely. Again, we don't know that he would opt out of a bowl game, but looking at trends recently, we're going to assume that he would probably opt out of a bowl
Absolutely.
game. All right,
Absolutely.
so we're not reporting that, but we're speculating with all the context clues that we have.
We wouldn't be shocked if he did.
Right. You're going to get him for 2 more games, and today is one of those. So that's half of it. So I would say you get as many carries as the big man will give you. And Mac has said many times, the only time he ever gets mad is if he's not getting the ball. So let's feed the big dog. You've only got him for a little bit longer. Let's make sure
absolutely.
Let him carry you to victory until the other team proves that he can't.
Plus, I want to see him keep climbing the rushing charts.
Yeah, man.
UNC history. Like right now, he's 4th. He's on the verge of having 2 of the top 5 rushing performances.
He does have 2 of the top 5.
Right, but he's still. But right. I mean, I'm just know from the one he had last year. It's already said and done. But he's still building a resume for this year. So we don't know where he's going to end at. But we know for sure that he's first in the conference in rushing, first in yards per game, and first in touchdowns on the season in the ACC. So he's on.
Don't deviate from that.
Exactly, feed him, man. But I'd be glad to say I had the privilege of seeing him when he was first dropped off at campus and to see what he became at the university and whatnot. So I want to see him keep climbing the chart, so I could be one of the people that say, I was able to witness Amari running wild at UNC.
I don't think people appreciate how much patience he's developed as a runner.
Absolutely.
I think one of the things was he was used to, and you see this a lot out of the guys in high school that have the physicality that he had when he was playing in Clayton, is that he put his head down and just run through everybody.
Right.
And he tried that when he first got on campus here, and it doesn't work that well in college when you're against everybody else is also huge. But he's really learned a good bit of patience, and you've seen that in allowing holes to develop. He's started to use a little cutback even more when he's at top speed, which he's not shifty, but he's got enough balance that he can absolutely get any linebacker or DB to look pretty dumb trying to slow down to counter him at full speed. So I'm like Searcy, like let's, as much as he will carry it today, let him have that, and then probably goose it a couple more after that. Good question. David also backs that question with, will Hampton get any Heisman considerations? Probably not. The kid for Boise State is leading the nation.
Insane.
Yeah, he's leading the nation in running yardage plus yards per game. And then also, the Heisman's typically a quarterback award. So unfortunately, I just don't see Amarian getting it. But he will get, I think it's the Doak Campbell Award. I might be butchering that, but whatever the National Running Back Award is,
I think you're accurate. I think you're correct.
I think he'll be in consideration for that quite a bit, even if he doesn't win it. So, and I will say at minimum, he's probably going to be a first-team All-American because they do put 2 running backs on most of those teams. So even with Genty from Boise, I think he'll get that, and he's not far behind the kid from Boise either. So it's not like that kid just absolutely running away with it. Next question. From our guy Brian Evans, who is active in just about every IC live show, so we appreciate you, Brian. Which of our wide receivers would be more likely to be successful in a weather game? I think that's a fair question. So I think you're probably thinking of who's your handsiest hands guy. I always go to slot receiver, so I'm going to say McCollum.
Nate. Yeah, I would say Nate for sure.
Nate McCollum probably. I don't think that you'd be bad with a Kobe Paysour, but I think more importantly than guys having hands today, I think the biggest thing is Criswell putting it in that small catch window. A lot of times you can have a guy reach for it, but you don't want to be doing that today.
It could be some run actions where he handed off to Nate as well. So keeping the ball in sure guys' hands. The main thing is possessing the football. He's a guy that. You can get the ball to Nate not only just passing, but you can hand it to him as a runner as well. So and he's also a returner. So
shout out to Thomas Yancey in the YouTube chat. Said that it's the Doak Walker Award. Thank you, Thomas. I got the Doak right. But
you mixed Doak Walker up with Earl Campbell. That's what you did.
There's also a Doak Campbell in the stadium. But Earl Campbell was a great runner. I think that there's got to be. Oh, this is a good question. Ryan McNamara just got this in here. Over under 4 sacks for the D-line. And he mentions, Boston College has a decent O-line, but 3rd and long could be where North Carolina gets good. I would assume that means North Carolina's holding them to 3rd and long, which I like your chances, right?
But I say 4 sacks.
But you think 4? I think 4. I see Boston College typically, man, they're a good offensive line unit. They're not great necessarily in passing offense, but they're great in offensive efficiency. They're top 3 in the conference in offensive efficiency. So they're going to make you get a little creative on defense. I think that there's going to be some options for you to probably lure them in, like I said, with some play action stuff. I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a toss up, but I think if you're curious as where they might go, I would defer to old school lineup, smash mouth football, nothing fancy. Maybe you get some flip motions, maybe you get some orbit motions pre-snap, but I do not expect them to come out and throw you a bunch of exotic looks, on offense to try to fool anybody. They're going to try to take theirs and beat you with yours. Another good question in the chat. Thomas Yancey asked, does BC play mostly zone or man in the defensive backfield? I've actually seen them play some mixes. Yeah. I've seen them do a little bit of both. Traditionally, they're probably going to play. They're going to play a lot more zone than usual. But I think you could probably see a little bit of either today, depending on how North Carolina reacts. If North Carolina is willing to throw the ball more than they expect, then I think it might force BC to stay exclusively zone. But you never know if they're running the ball at will, then it might force Boston College to put their guys on an island, and just play
to put more guys in the box. Yeah, yeah. I think it comes down to whoever's establishing the line of scrimmage, because, like I said, if we could run the ball, then Boston College is gonna have to sacrifice some of their men for man coverage to get more guys in the box for the run. So and then that should open up like more passing lanes on the outside because guys are on one-on-one matchups.
You could also actually really argue that this might be another Power Eccles game. And here's why, is because you saw Power last week. He's gotten really, really good because he's not a huge guy.
Right.
I mean, he looks like he looks like an NFL safety almost, but he's gotten really good at sinking in coverage and being behind the defensive line so the quarterbacks can't see him very well. I think part of his pick six last week was because Wake's quarterback was younger and wasn't used to seeing that.
Right.
I think you might see that a little bit today against Boston College because they're bringing in a guy that's really unproven. He's a transfer in, was a situation where he didn't know if he was going to have anywhere to play until BC happened to have a scholarship open up. So now he's getting the starting job. So it'll be unique to see that today. But I think this could be a very big Power Eccles game, and whether he's triggering on the run or if he's able to cover in space a little better than usual.
Especially for the wheel routes.
Yes, I mean that's the thing where he's going to have his back turned. He's going to have a situation where he's having to cover guys in space. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to either live up to that challenge or at least make it difficult that Boston College can't do what you think they want to do. Question from Hunter Pierce. Da'Norris and George Pettaway in the Oklahoma drill. What happens? This is the one, y'all. So
hey, man.
I'm peeling back the curtain. Let's let the folks hear. We were discussing this off the air. Hunter, I will say you got my man fired up a little bit.
You beat me to it.
He's offended that you asked such a question.
You don't ask me no question like that.
Search, tell us the answer, man. You against George Pettaway in an Oklahoma drill.
In the Oklahoma drill.
Oklahoma drill. Not even like inside run, like just straight up Oklahoma drill. You and
I will
George
be arrested
Pettaway.
for assault. Period. How old is Pettaway? Like 19, 20 years old?
He's probably
like
21
19,
by now.
20, 21? Yeah. And he weighs, what, 180?
I don't know, but I know he doesn't have grown man strength.
At 20, 21 years old, I was 215 with a 20-inch neck. I'm getting arrested for assault.
Hunter, I hope you got the answer you were looking for.
Hunter has lost his mind. I love you, Hunter, but you just
don't ever come in here with that offensive questioning again.
Hunter just wanted a reaction. That's all he wanted. Oh my God, Hunter.
You do realize, Hunter, that Da'Norris played, gotten multiple contracts in the NFL playing safety. I mean, went against some. We talked in the break. I mean, he's talked before about going against Gronk. So I don't think tackling Gronk versus an Oklahoma drill against a George Pettaway are quite on the same level.
Thank you. The guys in the NFL only have to tackle one Derrick Henry. When I was in the NFL, it was about 8 running backs built like Derrick Henry. Some was even faster. So,
well, that's the thing. You get to the league, even the guys that are like third on the depth chart are still absolute grown-ass men that are playing to eat.
It's the best of the best. You play for a livelihood. You playing to feed your family. Like, no.
So, all right. So what we should do now is I'll work it out to where we'll do a fundraiser for Me Fine, and we'll like let somebody that's a listener of the show line up against Searcy in an Oklahoma drill at a tailgate one time.
All they got to go do is pull up the rosters, like pull up the roster sizes from. Well, like I said, I don't know if George is a sophomore, junior, but line it up beside mine, and come on now.
Wasn't there the joke at the beginning of the year when we were keeping track of wins, losses about whoever lost this year in the picks would have to face Da'Norris in an Oklahoma drill? I think that's the punishment for the bottom of the list.
Better because it's fundraising for a good cause.
Well, we can do both. You can combine them. Yeah. Come on out and see Tommy Ashley in an Oklahoma drill against Da'Norris.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we'll have plenty of room out there, and I get the feeling that the crowd next week in the bowl slot will be extra feisty.
Yeah.
So
they should be.
Maybe we take high bids.
Yeah.
And let Searcy just go straight up Oklahoma drill. I'll get a tire.
Yeah.
We can just.
Brian said looking for child abuse issues. Hunter D is willing to meet you in the Okie. Yeah, because you wildin'.
So shout out to everybody who absolutely just threw some gasoline on Searcy's fire today. He said he already worked out before he came in this morning, but I got a feeling he's gonna be running stadium stairs after the show now. Y'all got him so mad.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our IC Takeover segment. I'll tell you what, we're gonna give our guy David McCarson the $50 Johnny T-shirt gift card. David, I'm going to tell you right now, email me, joey@insidecarolina.com. We'll hook you up and get you some Johnny T-shirt goodness. We're going to take our last break, y'all. I can't believe this show has flown by today. We'll come right back. We're going to get you set. We're going to hand it over to the guys at the Tar Heel Radio Network at 11. But more importantly, I want the folks listening, just stick around on the YouTube channel because Tommy's going to be doing the post game from last night's 3 a.m. basketball game against Hawaii. It tipped off at 12:30, and I don't think it finished till well after 2:30. But Tommy and Dewey Burke will be doing the post game show here on this here YouTube channel as soon as we finish up at 11. So we'll hand it off to the Tar Heel Radio Network guys on the radio side. But if you want to hear post-game reactions about UNC's basketball win last night in Honolulu, Tommy will have you squared away. So make sure you guys just stick around on the YouTube channel, and my man TA and Dewey Biscuits Burke will take care of you. So until David, make sure you email me. We'll get you your Johnny T-shirt gift card. Again, Johnny T-shirt is already loading up the Black Friday stuff. Hit them up. They've got plenty of stuff that you can look at. If you go to Johnny T-shirt right now, look, they have the pre-Black Friday sale going on. Some real good deals. We're always appreciative of the way they support IC's content, this show and all the other shows, but we want you guys to show some love to Johnny T, locally owned and operated, alumni owned and operated. You will feel so great after talking to them and letting them take care of you. I've said 1,000 times, sirs, if Johnny T-shirt don't have it, you don't need it. We'll be right back for our last segment. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is Ryan Taylor, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
Hey, Chris, what's going on at Mark Jacobson Toyota?
Toyotathon.
Toyotathon?
That's right. Toyotathon is back. Rates as low as 3.99% on Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. $1,000 holiday bonus cash on Tacoma and Tundra.
Yeah, but do you actually have those cars?
You bet we do. We have more cars than we've had in years, and even more on the way.
Toyotathon is on at Mark Jacobson Toyota, 15501, just north of I-40, where we say
yes! 3.99% APR on select new Camry, Corolla, and RAV4 with qualified credit. $1,000 cash on new Tundra and Tacoma, excluding TRD Pro and Trailhunter models. Does not require financing.
My name is Gary Craig. We built our first custom home in Chapel Ridge, North Carolina, and Will Johnson was our builder and did an absolutely terrific job. This is kind of hokey, but Will Johnson is the Roy Williams of the construction world. Building a custom house is absolutely hard to do. And to take a diverse set of subcontractors and mold them together, they want to work for him, and the product shows.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself.
I'm Jeremy Salemson with CIMG Residential Mortgage. There are optimistic signs and trends in housing these days, so you may be asking, is this the right time to buy or sell, and what can I afford? Well, we're here to help you buy or refinance your home with an experienced team, creative solutions, personalized service, and efficient systems. Contact us at CIMGINC.com and see firsthand the advantages of lending on a first-name basis. NMLS number 39460.
This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. We have grown our footprint here in Chapel Hill and Durham and Carrboro. The purpose of having a generator is to have backup power when you need it, so it has to be ready at all times. We've had customers wanting a new generator, and then customers that already have a generator that want us to service it, maintain it, fix it. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
Hey Tar Heels, my name is Adam Bishop, the senior pastor at New Hope Church in Durham. I'm a big Tar Heel fan, a husband, a father to 3 amazing boys, and I believe deeply in building bridges to create community. At New Hope Church, you're welcomed with big smiles and hellos by people who are genuinely excited to see you. We're a diverse faith community sharing hope in Central North Carolina for more than 20 years. If you're looking for a church home, we'd love to meet you this coming Sunday. Visit our website, newhopechurch.org, to learn more, as well as to stay up to date on events and how we're serving our local communities. We can't wait to meet you, and God bless our Tar Heels.
Hello, Tar Heels. This is Roy Williams. Although we are no longer living in town, when Wanda and I come back, we always stay at the new Sheraton Chapel Hill. The Atma Hotel Group has done wonders with the Sheraton's complete and comfortable transformation and amenities, from convenient parking to very nice guest rooms and the Blue Corners Bistro that serves breakfast and dinner every day. We hope to see you there on one of those special Carolina weekends. And as always, let's go Heels.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Inside Carolina Live. That's T-Pain. I'm Joey Powell. He's Da'Norris Searcy. KJ Johnson over there mixing and remixing and bouncing his head like he means it.
Yeah.
Y'all, we've only got a segment left on the show. I don't know where this show went today. I was prepared. Yeah. I knew Searcy and I were going to be fine. We do miss Evan, but man's got to cover the game. But yeah, this show is absolutely blown by. and I don't know what happened, but let's talk about a last little bit about how this game may play out today. And shout out to everybody who's either listening or tuned in on IC's YouTube channel. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Sirs, we always like to talk about what's the most important thing for North Carolina to take care of to have a positive outcome. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go to you first. What is the most important thing on the priority sheet today if you're North Carolina? And I'm going to take care of the ball, because you said take care of the ball for Criswell earlier. So I'm taking that out of your arsenal.
I'm going to say establishing the line of scrimmage. This is the type of game there's on both sides where we need to run the ball. If we're the offense, we need to run the ball. Defense, we need to stop the run. And then get off the field on third downs. But whoever can control that line of scrimmage, who could get 5 to 6 yards a carry on first and second down to put you in third and manageable downs to continue drives. That's who I think is going to have a better chance of winning this game. So with the weather conditionings and the two type of teams that we have with our running back, and then they have two guys that are capable of running the ball too, and Boston College having a good offensive line. Yeah, it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage play from the big boys up front.
I think you're obviously dead on with that. I think for North Carolina, it's if you can give Criswell time to work today. Mm-hmm. Again, I expect this to be a handoff heavy game. 75% run today, I would imagine. But again, talking about efficiency and percentages earlier, on the downs where you do let Criswell rip it, whether it's a deep ball or whether it's just slant stuff over the middle, if you've got a couple of mesh concepts or something like that where you're trying to soften up the middle of that field for your run game, he's got to be on today.
Absolutely.
I don't think he looked clean last week. I don't think he excuse me. I don't know if he was fighting some injury or if he was just battling something, but I think he was he was not as proficient as he has been last week. We'd seen him developing and getting better each week. I just think last week it was tough, and so you're going to need him to be a little more efficient this week. You're going to need him to hit his chances when they take them. You're going to need him to again, I do think protecting the ball was a great call earlier, but I think all of those things are important. And then when he does throw the ball, they got to keep him upright. Early in the game last week against Wake Forest, and I think part of it was because of the way they were using some twists that North Carolina wasn't expecting. But they were getting sacks really early in the game, and it looked like it was going to be a long day for the offense. Oh, and then what do you know? They remembered that they have Amarian Hampton in the backfield and decided, well, you're not going to sack our quarterback if he doesn't have the ball.
Exactly.
So I think it's get the ball out quick. If they do have some chances to set up something with play action or some longer developing plays down the field and some concepts like that, make sure you're keeping Criswell upright and allowing him to make those throws, because I think efficiency, when you take your chances today, you've got to be on them, because there are not going to be as many chances as a normal game due to the weather and the way these teams play. Next thing I'm going to ask you, what does a recipe for a win look like? We've talked about earlier about complementary football, and we heard Max say in the second segment that that's one of the things they've really gotten better about, is that the defense is actually helping the offense out by relieving some pressure, but also doing their job and holding the other offenses to field goals or getting off the field altogether. I'm going to ask you, what's the recipe like today? Is it heavy offense? Is it heavy defense? What is it that you need to see complementary?
I would say clock management.
Okay.
So the defense been helping out the offense. The offense can help out the defense today with clock management. With again, going back to establishing the line of scrimmage, running the ball, that affects clock management, because we can possess the ball, we can extend drives, keep drives going. It keeps our defense off the field, so when they're on the field, they're fresh as they can be, and they can get after the Boston College's offense. But I would say clock management for sure, because more we hold on, like I said, more we hold on to the ball and run the ball with Amarian and convert third and manageable third downs to stay on the field, it helps the team. It helps the team for sure.
I think there's going to be some opportunities today, not just getting off the field, but necessarily making decisions that will allow these drives to go longer.
Right.
And I think that's part of the clock management thing. It's not necessarily just taking care of the ball and making sure you're getting 7. But I think using the choices you make in calling plays, right? We talked about earlier. If you're going to call a pass on first down, that's fine, but you got to make sure you're hitting it because you don't want to get behind the sticks in a game where possessions are going to be at a premium. If you think about, basketball reference, when you play Virginia, you're not going to get as many possessions, so you've got to shoot better. I think that's a great analogy for today. There's not going to be as many possessions in this game unless all of a sudden turnovers are coming out of somewhere. And so when you get the ball, you've just got to be more effective and more meaningful with it. So I think that goes into how are you calling the game? Absolutely. And so that'll be a Chip Lindsey question. That'll also be a Jeff Collins question in the sense that are you heating up their quarterback every chance you get? Are you holding them to maybe 5-play drives versus 10? Those things all matter. And so if you can shorten a drive for them, then you give yourself another one of those valued possessions that you're going to need so much today. And I think that's really, really important for this team to continue building on what they've been able to do in that complementary football phase that they've been playing recently. Who's your difference maker, man? I love this question because I know you always go to turnovers or a DB, but I'm going to ask you because it's good conversation. Who's your difference maker today?
I would say Travis Shaw.
He had a game last week, didn't he?
Yeah, so I'm looking for him to continue and have an impressive back-to-back week. Hopefully, I want to see him get some sacks. I'm looking for, especially if we get a sack fumble, I'm looking for him for a scoop and score. If we get a scoop and score from a big man today, that'll be amazing, man. So that's my bold prediction. I want Travis Shaw to do good.
I will say my son dapped Trav up on the sidelines last week while they were warming up, and I'd like to think that's what made him have the game he had. But not only did he have a freakish game on tape, my man had the best Pro Football Focus grade that he's had in his entire career. I mean, he graded out really, really well. Whatever the play was where he basically just like bulldogged the left guard and like just kind of put him in almost a front face lock and just sat on him.
Right.
Like just literally just climbed up, just mushed him into the field. That's the type of stuff you love to see your interior lineman doing.
Those type of stuff he's capable of doing as well.
He's
so
huge.
Hopefully last week was a confidence booster. I'm looking for him to come out and prove that it wasn't a fluke and have another big game. So
if that guy has a big game today, I think Tar Heel fans are happy at about 4 o'clock.
Absolutely.
If that guy has the type of game today that he had last week, I think North Carolina fans are absolutely celebrating what Cheesy Trav and his team will have done because he was making things an absolute nightmare for for left side of Wake Forest's line last week.
Absolutely.
I think today's difference maker is, and I'm hesitant to do this because I don't want to put it all on one single defensive back, but I think it's going to come down to safety play from North Carolina today.
Okay.
So I'm not going to just say one of the safeties. I'm not going to either just say Harris or Lane, but I've seen Stick Lane do a lot of good. I've seen Stick Lane do a lot of bad. And I think it's just there's a pretty high variance in what he gives you. He's willing to hit. I think also he's one of the guys that allows his eyes to deceive him sometimes and might fall for the bait, might fall for the candy. And where he struggles sometimes is against triple option teams like you saw last week against Wake Forest, who isn't triple option, but they are an option team. He falls for the eye candy a little bit. But I think if today's a day he can tackle well, and he and Harris both can maintain tackles and limit guys to keeping the play in front of them,
especially in the run game.
Yes, limit guys to 5 to 6 yards if they break one, instead of 15 to 20 yards if they break one.
Right.
Today's a day that you can't just go hit a guy. You got to tackle him to the ground, wrap up. Don't be afraid to get on the wet turf, because it's absolutely going to make a difference in holding them to 3 or holding them to 0.
Absolutely.
And 7. It's got to be a day where you've got to tackle to the ground through the whistle in order to kind of give yourselves and your defense the best chance to get off the field. So I'm going to say safety play. I know that's not one player, but I think it's actually going to come from those guys and a combination of Will Hardy. I think Will Hardy has been a good, solid contributor the last few weeks when he's starting to get more and more snaps. I think he's finally getting healthy. I think this is a game that plays to Will Hardy's strengths. I don't think he's as good in coverage, but this is the type of game where he absolutely is good at sniffing out where a run's coming from, where a sneak block might be coming from. I think he's going to excel today. So I'm going to say the safety position as a whole will be a key for this team. Give me a little bit of a score, man. Who are you liking? What are you liking? I'm seeing some Again, I'm seeing some 26-17. I've seen some other things on the board this week.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some accountability day for our score. So what do you got?
I got my score prediction today: 28-14 Carolina.
28-14. Woo, that's a 2-touchdown. Look at you.
Yeah, 28-14.
Man, that's that would still be the under, but that feels like a high score for a game like today.
Yeah.
I hate to do this. I think Boston College probably wins in a game where it becomes gross. It comes down to kickers. I'm going to say Boston College 28-27, maybe 27-24, something around there. I'd love to be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. We've talked about this before. If North Carolina proves me wrong, I'm fine with it. I think today is just its elements. I think there's too much potential for them to be looking backward to last week and forward to next week. Until this team shows me that they're able to finish a season on an up, it's hard for me to believe that they're going to finish the season on an up. And I think at some point they'll break through. And if it's today, then great. I will start the show next week just admitting how wrong I am, and I'll sit there to my wrongness. But I think that until they get to a place where they're doing it consistently and doing the dirty things, which is what today is going to come down to. It's going to come down to the dirty things. It's going to come down to finishing through a play, finishing through a whistle, tackling guys through the ground, and not just trying to hit them. Because when it's wet, dudes are bouncing off of you. When it's wet, hands matter, and it means tackling, it means catching, it means whatever you're doing, just focusing through the end of the play.
Absolutely.
Through the end of the whistle. Right, when you got the old defensive coaches like, guys, you play until the echo of the whistle. They got to do that today. Boston College is absolutely beatable, but it's not going to be one of those situations where you can just go out there and not be crisp.
It's not going to be walking apart for sure.
No, it can't be crisp at all.
You got to go take this win. It's not going to be given to you for sure.
Absolutely. So this will be obviously our last show before Thanksgiving, but I want to tell everybody, if you're listening right now, we're going to hand off on terrestrial radio and on Chapel Borough. We'll go over to our friends at the Tar Heel Radio Network for continued kickoff coverage. Again, game kicks off at noon on the CW. I think if you are in tune to IC, stay on the YouTube channel. Tommy will be on with Dewey Burke to talk a little bit of basketball. The Tar Heels did win a very late one last night. Look, again, I'm too old to be staying up for no 12:30 tip-off. I got kids. I got to take my sleep where I can get it. But Tommy and Dewey will be talking about that game here in just a few minutes on the YouTube channel, so they'll get started right at 11. They're waiting for us. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's listening to the show. We will be back next week. So a couple things to look for. The day after podcast will be tomorrow. Tommy and Staples and Buck will have that ready for you. Make sure you've subscribed and all that good stuff so you get that when that show starts. It'll be live, I'm going to guess, at 9 a.m. unless Tommy calls an audible there. And then also make sure you're ready for this show next week at 12:30 from the Bowls lot. Home finale against North Carolina State. I'm sure there will probably be a little bit of animosity and zest and spunk in that crowd. So we're looking forward to that. Make sure you have us locked next week. But otherwise, we appreciate Jason Staples from joining us from San Diego. Appreciate Evan for kind of getting us the audio ready this week before he went to Boston. Sirs, it's been fun, man. We will be back next week. Again, 12:30, we'll be on the air getting you ready for Tar Heels and Wolfpack. You've been listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. Late in the third quarter against Wake Forest, Carolina was